Welcome on in, guys. Three bold takes yet again, and we are back with some more predictions for Week 3 of the college football season. We this time we have actually the big noon kickoff at 11 o'clock. I'm gonna say that every time I say the big noon kickoff because I think it's stupid. But anyways, for Alabama at Wisconsin, right? Like this is an interesting matchup, obviously for multiple reasons. This is Bama's first road game. This is also Bama's first Power Five road game as well against a Power Four game. Um, like I said, at Wisconsin Saturday at 11 o'clock. Alabama's a 16-point favorite that has since moved, I believe, to 16 and a half, with a 92% chance to win. How are we feeling, especially after last week, for Alabama and their offensive line going to Wisconsin?
Yeah, I'm taking this one off the jump. I think Alabama, when you look at them this year, I've kind of said it, and I didn't want to get too hyped up after the first game because if you look at the past 3 years for Alabama, they've come out that opening game against a group of five and have absolutely dominated Utah State, MTSU, and then Western Kentucky. And they've looked great. And then that next game and the next game, they typically end up in a rut somehow. The offense doesn't get going. Your offensive line, there's a lot of penalties. Your defense kind of makes some mistakes at times. And last year, you could chalk it up to just kind of younger players and stuff like that. And this year, you're kind of chalking it up to new coaching staff and all. But after that first game, I did not want to get too hyped up about Alabama just because they put up 60 something on Western Kentucky. You can't do that. I think Alabama's a great team. I think they have a lot of talent. I think they have a lot of potential. But at the same point, there are some things underneath with this team that need to be figured out. And you saw that in the USF game. They struggled again, like they did last year in the first half, though. They finished it out, had, I think they went on like a 26 to nothing run or 28 to nothing run where they absolutely destroyed USF, which made them look really good. At the same point, they still had 14, 15 penalties, I think it was. And some of that was some probably garbage penalties on their part. But this is the first true road test or first true test for Alabama this season. What is DeBoer made of? What is this new offense made of? What is this offensive line made of with this probably husky Big Ten defense? And then you're also looking at Wisconsin side of the ball. Luke Fickle's had a couple years to come into his own as a Badgers head coach. He was really good at Cincinnati. He knows this Alabama team from his time in the playoffs against them, and now he has a chance at maybe taking another shot here. I think this is going to be a really good game overall. I think Alabama is going to go in. I think a lot of people expect them just to kind of coast on Wisconsin. I don't think I'm going to see that here. You've kind of played some lackadaisical teams that you should have destroyed in both of them. I think here you're kind of worried and lingering in the background. Okay, Georgia's next week at home. Okay, here's Wisconsin, though. I don't think they're focused on Wisconsin as much as they should be. I'm going to go 28-17 Alabama in this game. I think DeBoer and team will get it done eventually, but it's going to be a nasty, muddy game that's really going to have to work through it. You're going to see a lot of kinks get worked out in this game for DeBoer and his offense. I think that's a big thing for Milroe, Ryan Williams, those guys, Jam Miller, Justice Haynes. You're going to see a lot of those struggles early on from some of these younger guys. And I think they're going to get kind of worked out in this game as they're approaching the Georgia game. So I got Alabama in this one. Quinn?
I
Yeah,
I do want to say this real quick, Quinn, before you go. Bama does have a
yeah,
bye week next week before
yeah,
they play Georgia, so that's
yeah,
that's good news.
yeah. I was going to bring that up as well. But what I wanted to start with Alabama is like offensive line play is really rough with South Florida. I don't care that you beat them 42-16. We all watched that game. It was way closer than that, and then you decided to play offense in the final 5 minutes of the game and make the score big. Um, as far as Wisconsin goes, that atmosphere is going to be legit. Like Madison is one of my favorite venues in the Big Ten. I think it's going to be really loud rockets. They're going to be able to impact Alabama, especially early. Uh, that being said, I know we're all highlighting this game because it's like, Alabama struggled with South Florida. Um, it's on the road. Wisconsin struggled with Eastern Michigan and what
South
was this?
Dakota.
In South Dakota. Yeah, both games were less than 20-point victories, hard fought defensive contests. They haven't impressed me very much so far into this year. I do think they'll keep the game close, probably well into the third quarter. Defensively, they're going to be stout. That crowd atmosphere is going to help with that big time. But at the end of the day, I think there's too much explosivity on Alabama's side of the ball, especially with Ryan Williams and Jalen Milroe. that Wisconsin hasn't proven to me that they can keep up with. So I like Alabama to end up winning late 34 to 17, 31 to 17, something like that. But I don't think that they're gonna come out and just dominate Wisconsin early or impressive. Think what Texas did to Michigan last week. I don't see that happening. But I do think they pull away late just because they're more explosive than the Badgers on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, so with Alabama so far this year, obviously you guys have highlighted kind of the main points. I'm not going to read too much into the offensive line issues so far. I mean, you had a veteran guy playing out of position. You had a third stringer starting on the right side. Like there was a lot of things offensive line wise that you saw that you probably will not see this coming week. I would assume that of the two injuries on the offensive line, one of them would at least come back. So that's going to help some. You kind of get a little bit of an idea where players play best as an off position. So I think it was good that you were able to do that against USF. Um, Man, when I look at Wisconsin, though, Luke Fickell, I'm very disappointed in what he's done so far at Wisconsin. Personally, what he did at Cincinnati was obviously very impressive. A Group of 5 team to make the playoffs, NFL draft picks, all the things. And so far this year, you've got two games that we've seen Wisconsin play. One against Western Michigan, they won 28-14. One against South Dakota, 27-13. They're not any good. Western Michigan might be the worst team in all of the country. If I don't know if you watched that game, but they are legitimately bad. And you can't put up more than 30 points against them, and you still give up 14 and 13 respectively to these two teams. I think Alabama covers the 16 points. I'm going 42-14 is probably my score. Now I think they keep it close into halftime, and then Bama just pulls away with it in the end, or in the second half rather. I don't think this game's going to be close. I am very interested to see how DeBoer handles a close game Power 5 level or Power 4 level if it is close at halftime, right? Like, is he going to come out second half, try to be a little bit more complacent, try to control the ball, or is he going to continue to push the tempo, look for that explosive play? How is he going to handle late game situations against, a team like Wisconsin on the road? That's kind of the biggest question marks for me. But yeah, I've got Bama winning this game and covering the 16.
And that's kind of the thing you're looking at in this game if you're an Alabama fan. If you're watching this as an Alabama fan, you're looking at has DeBoer shown you everything the first two games that he's going to have in his bag, which should not have been. And then also, how does he do against a tougher opponent? What does he come out with his offense just glaring and just blazing onto the field, and what he does there? So it's going to be really cool to see what DeBoer does, and it doesn't have to be against an SEC opponent first game, or it doesn't have to be against a Georgia first game to see what he's got in his bag. I think you're going to see a lot from Jalen Milroe this game. He's going to really open up, I believe, and do a lot of cool things. So it's going to be a fun game to watch. It's going to be probably a little stressful for the first half, especially. I think it's going to be a good game, a fun game for Alabama fans.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to subscribe. It helps us out a ton. It helps us get in the eyes of more people on YouTube, so that's always good. Stay tuned later in the week for more predictions, and then as well as overreactions and things like that next week. In 3 Bold Takes, I'll be joined by Chase and Quinn. My name is Freddie. We will see you guys next time.